What's up, YouTube? Your boy back once again with another sport topic, and today we're going to talk some football. Today, the Dallas Cowboys cut their Pro Bowler receiver, Dez Bryant. You know, X-Man, the guy who throws with the X, the guy who Texan fans constantly make fun of, can't catch. The Cowboys asked him to take a pay cut. He didn't want to take the pay cut, so they cut him. Kind of similar to the Honey Badger Tyrann Mathieu situation. Now, the Texans are fifth in salary cap space. So should the Texans take a flyer on Dez Bryant? My opinion, yes, they should. They definitely should. Dez Bryant in this offense with Deshaun Watson and Hop and Will Fuller. Now, I mean, the offense is already legit with just Hopkins and Watson. Offense already legit. That's already a dynamic duo. Will Fuller, you know, some people like Parrish and the Sauce Chat talks about all the time that Fuller needs to be a slot receiver instead of being on the outside. Like I've always told people, Bill O'Brien has X and Y receivers. He don't have two X's. He like X and he like a Y. That's how he has his receivers in his mind, his offense. But I think with the play of Deshaun Watson, you might want to change that. And if you talk about putting Dez, like my boy Wink say, then you definitely don't have to worry about drafting a receiver in the draft. And also, tight end is not as big as a need as it once was, because that right there is your red zone. Dez and Hopkins is definitely your red zone. And I know people talking about Dez and lost. He's not the same Dez Bryant, and like he can't catch all this, this. All that's good and gravy. But one thing you got to think about. You're thinking about Dez Bryant as a Dallas Cowboy as the number one option. He's the number one option. In Dallas, he was the number one option week in and week out. He's always the number one option. In Houston, he ain't nowhere near the number one option, because number one option is Hopkins. He ain't better than Hopkins on his best day. So he's definitely going to be the number two receiver. So that means opposing defenses are going to have the number one corner on Hop. They're going to put their number two corner on Dez. You don't think Dez can do against a number two corner, especially with Deshaun Watson as his quarterback? You got to think about he's been playing with Dak Prescott. He's made it vocally clear that he doesn't see with Dak. He doesn't see what other people have seen in Dak. He definitely was a Romo advocate. I think he would much rather have Romo come back after Romo got his injury or was done with his injury. He definitely would rather have Romo back because Dak doesn't give Dez the ball like Romo does. And also, that's another thing. People say, he going to be down here and he going to be bitching, complaining about getting the ball. Yeah, there's a diva. I understand that. But he's not going to feel like that because he would know coming into this situation. He knows he knows if he comes to Houston, it's not a trade. It's not like he's been traded. He was forced to come to Houston. He's going to come to Houston willingly. If he comes to Houston, he's going to know that he's the number two option. At best, he's the number two option. He's gonna know that. So you telling me hop on the outside against number one corner? We already know what Hop gonna do. We ain't tripping. We already know what Hop gonna do. Dez against the number two corner, and then you put Fuller in the slot. So even if people think Dez, especially people think that Dez can't catch and Dez don't got no more, they gonna leave Dez alone. You don't think he can eat with Watson throwing the ball? And then even when they start respecting Dez, you don't think Fuller can, with that speed, as fast as Will is, you don't think that he can destroy that slot? You crazy, especially with the person who we talk about pulling the trigger. Like that's the key component of this whole situation is Deshaun Watson. With him pulling the trigger, you don't think that with him pulling the trigger that he can get all these people in the right situations against the right DBs? I'm not saying that they will be the best receiving corner in the NFL. Or am I saying they'll be the best receiving corner in the NFL? Offense is definitely potent. I'm gonna get back to you on that one. But this offense will be potent. It would definitely be. I feel like this with Deshaun Watson healthy, it's going to be a top 10 offense, if not top 5 offense. I mean, what they were scoring, averaging 30-some points a game anyway. Now, like I said, we already know them 51 points, him throwing 4 to 5 touchdowns a game. That's not nothing he's going to abstain for a whole 16 game season. It's not Madden. It's not everybody overall on 99 and you playing with the icons and everything down and you just out there just throwing the ball. It ain't that type of party. We already know this is legit football They not gonna be. It's not college. They're not gonna be out there scoring touchdowns at will like that. But I think they definitely be able to score touchdowns when it counts. When you need them to go down the field and strike. When you need them to drive the ball, they're gonna do what they gotta do with or without Dez Bryant. Dez Bryant will be a cherry on top to this offense, and then it changes what you can do in the draft. That means you don't have to worry about receiver on the back end. That means you don't have to worry about tight ends so early. Like I did a breakdown about tight ends. I brought up Ian Thomas. You can get Ian Thomas in the 4th or 5th round. So therefore, you get Dez Bryant. That means your your 3 third-round picks and your 2nd-round pick. If you decide to move up, you can move up and get an offensive lineman. You can move up and get a corner. You can move up and get a safety. You can move up and get a running back. You don't have to worry about tight end no more until that 4th and 5th round. You can get Ian Thomas, and I already broke him down, talking about he's a sleeper. So the possibilities that you can do with this offense could definitely be potent, especially like Wink say, if you can keep Braxton Miller and Ellington, just in case somebody go down, because Dez does have injury issues. Fuller has injury issues. Shit, even Ellington has injury issues. But if Ellington and Miller not get on the field as much as these other guys, you don't have to really worry about injuries more. Like Hopkins is healthy. I know Hopkins missed the last game. That was the only game he's ever missed in his career. That was more so because he already locked up Pro Bowl, already locked up All-Pro, and the season was a wash. And they just didn't want nothing to happen in that game. Like he fuck around, tears Achilles in that game, or tears ACL in that game, and then now you ain't got him next year type shit, or you missing him for a chunk. They want to just make sure that he already got all his accolades already locked. The only thing he didn't have locked up was the most yards in the season, which he actually could have gotten if he would have played. It would have been a stretch. I think he was like 160 yards away, but I mean, we've seen Hop get over 200 yards before, so he could have definitely been in that category if he would have played. I think that would have been the only reason why he would have played that last game, was to be the leading receiver in yards wise. Be already leading in touchdown. He's already locked up as an All-Pro. All that stuff was locked up, so that's the reason why he missed that last game. He really wasn't hurt. They just precautionary. They didn't want him to get hurt long term. No long term, real term damage. That's what they was doing. But other than that, he's the only one I get in this situation is your receivers you can count year in, year out to be healthy. He's also your best receiver. So with that standpoint, you good. And these other guys, if you take Dez Bryant from being the number 1, moving to number 2, his injury concerns might go down because he's not getting the ball as many times. So he's not being put in danger. Also with Washington, he's not being put in danger that many times. Same thing with Will Fuller. You taking Will Fuller from being the number 2 receiver, getting bumped and pushed around and manhandled by the number 2 corner. You put him in the slot. What slot corner you think can cover him? Because according to Pro Football Focus, the best slot cornerback in the NFL, he a Texan right now in Colvin. And then as far as safeties, probably the best safety that can cover slot is a Texan right now in the Honey Badger. So probably the best 2 people, quote unquote, who can cover the slot are on your team. So you don't have to even worry about the top 2 people covering the slot facing against Will Fuller. So, and with that speed, you can't even coming out the slot. He's definitely dangerous. And Perry's been pushing this for a long time about him being in the slot and him being he's better as a slot receiver and better as a slot receiver. And he could definitely punish the defense. So, would I take Dez Bryant? Yes, but it all depends on the contract. I would not give him a long-term contract, and I would not give him a whole bunch of money. The ideal contract would be the same thing that Honey Badger got. 1 year, $7 million. And if you think about what Honey Badger got, 1 year, $7 million on a prove-it deal, if you think about it, Dez probably would get less than that. Because I think that Honey Badger is more, at this point of his career, and plus he's younger, he's more thought of in higher regard than Dez Bryant is at his junction in his career. Dez Bryant is not thought of as that type of receiver anymore. And he still technically is going to be your number. He's going to be your best safety. Dez Bryant's going to be coming into the situation as your number 2 receiver. So I think possibly maybe you can get him for a 1 year, 1 6.5 type deal. Hey, and if he balls out, Even if he balls out, I'm not even worried about if he balls out and we have to resign him. Because even if he balls out and he leaves, I'm really not tripping about Dez Bryant. I mean, I'm not saying, oh, we gotta retain Dez Bryant unless he was all pro. Unless he was the best receiver, unless something happened, he becomes the best receiver on the team, which I don't think is gonna happen. So I have no concerns about next year if we give him a 1-year deal this year. And Honey Badger already tweeted at him, "Come to Houston." Hopkins on Instagram, like how he did for Jimmy Graham and all them, got a picture of Dez Bryant with a Texan uniform on. So this brings me back to something that Andre Johnson said in this podcast with Foster when Foster had him on. How he'd been always asking for a receiver. He was always asking for stuff. He was always going into Kubiak and Rick Smith's office raising hell during the offseason. Why we not doing this? Why we not doing that? And judging by the way that Hopkins is doing, especially this year is probably the first year that the Texans have had money while Hopkins has been on the team, outside the Brock Osweiler year, but they did go get Brock Osweiler, so he didn't have to do nothing. I'm pretty sure, because him and Dre are tight. Like Dre is his mentor. I'm pretty sure Dre told him, "Don't let this organization fuck you like they did me. They didn't bring me a QB outside Shop, and even though me and Shop had our good years together, at the end of the day, we know what it is. They never brought me no help until they brought me you, and they brought me you at the latter part of my career." So I'm thinking that mixed in with this new day and age, with the Twitters and the Instagrams and the Snapchats and Facebook and all the other good fine stuff, everybody's editing stuff now. With that being said, I'm thinking that's the reason why Hopkins is making the pushes that he's making. Why Matthew is making the pushes that he's making. Why JJ made the push to get Matthew here. Now Matthew's on the team. Matthew hasn't even practiced for the Texans yet. He hasn't even worked at the Texan facility yet. And he's out here making pushes to bring in Dez Bryant. It would be a good look. You get him in for a cheap deal. I think that this offense could be a very, very potent offense. It's going to be potent anyway because you got Deshaun Watson. And I know people have their questions about Bill O'Brien. But Bill O'Brien, even though you have your question about him being the coach, you can't question, even though I know he coached under Tom Brady. I know he had Tom Brady. But you really can't, when he has pieces, he does know how to coach offense. You seen when he decided to start Watson and he started doing stuff around. I mean, Watson was out there balling. I get that. It was probably majority Watson because I know it was plays when Watson freelanced, like against Cleveland, and Bill O'Brien told him about it. But he scored a touchdown, so it really didn't matter. But still, I still think that Bill O'Brien did put him in good situations. I do think Bill O'Brien changed the offense enough to fit him and tailor fit him. So I think if you put them together with a quarterback like Deshaun, and you give me all these different weapons, Dez is a good blocking receiver as well. This would be a key situation for the Texans if they can bring in Dez Bryant for a cheap deal. I don't know how many times I gotta say this, for a cheap deal. I'm not telling you to pay him a whole bunch of money. And I'm not even. What I'm saying is, if you put him, he can definitely fit this offense, and it can change It can change him being the second receiver changes the dynamic of the offense because now you put Will Fuller in the slot. Now the matchups you can have Will Fuller and Hopkins on the same side. Will Fuller and Hopkins right here. Dez over here. Then you put Will Fuller over here. Then you put Bruce. Then when you come out with 4 receiver sets and have Will Fuller and Ellington, both of them fast. You put both of them on one side. Put Hopkins and Dez on the other side. Then when you're in the red zone, you got Hop over here. You got Dez over here. Fuller was good in the red zone last year. Like, it's a lot of stuff you could do. The matchups, it'll be matchup nightmares for the opposing defense and defensive coordinators if you construct that type of offense. I'm just saying, it would be matchup nightmares if you construct that type of offense. I mean, for a defensive coordinator to try to come against that defense, especially a team like the Jags, and not to mention, most Texan fans hate Cowboys, and the Texans play the Cowboys. What way more to stick it to the Dallas Cowboys if you had Dez on your team, him scoring touchdowns and throwing up the X right in the Cowboys' faces. I'm not a Cowboy hater. I don't really care nothing about the Cowboys, to be honest with you. But to the ones who hate the Cowboys, if he was throwing up the X in front of them, that's the last little dig right there. They'll hate that shit. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't, comment below if you haven't, click that bell, get more videos. Help me get to the 1,000 views and 1,000 subscribes, man. Hey, Comment, like, I said that ugly. Comment, like, share, subscribe, do all the nice, fine, good stuff. Help your boy, man. Holla.